Hi everyone, this is SBowne, and I will be reviewing the themes and implications that I found to be most important in the book Patients Come Second by Spiegelman and Barrett. And these are in relation to performance improvement and organizational behavior. So the book Patients Come Second, as a quick overview, is based on the idea that by focusing on employees first, all metrics and measurements of organizational success and improvement will increase rather than focusing on finance first or patients first, which is a flip of what many hospitals and organizations currently do. By focusing on employees will become more engaged, they will do better at their jobs, and patients will therefore have a better experience. And that is why they say that patients come second. Ultimately, everything being done is for the patient, but through employee focus first. So this introduces the idea of transformational leadership, which is that leaders really have to take the first step in changing an organization. So this leads to, if you include the employee engagement, better employee engagement plus increased leader commitment to change and employees, ultimately will all lead to increased quality, safety, and care metrics, which means increased reimbursements and higher satisfaction for employees and patients overall. So the three particular themes relating to organizational behavior and performance improvement that I found to be most important were transformational leadership, which I called out just a moment ago, relationship-centered administration, or RCA, and then both of these feed into employee engagement and satisfaction. So for RCA, which is defined, and I will define further, by Suchman, Sluter, and Williamson, that's essentially the idea of putting people first. You put the people first, and the business pieces will fall into place behind that, which is very similar to the aspects in transformational leadership. So by doing these two things, or one or the other, transformational leadership, RCA, that will lead to increased employee engagement, which leads to better support for the culture, and better cultural support means that there is further room for performance improvement activities to be accepted and to be actually performed. So transformational leadership is called out and discussed in Chapter 1 by Spiegelman and Barrett. They don't continue to call that out as their basis for the book, but most of their ideas and principles come from that. And it is a major switch from transactional leadership, which is the traditional way of managing, that is really a command and control type way of managing. So Spiegelman and Barrett, they use somebody else's quote to define transformational leadership. It's a great way of defining it, in that they state that transformational leaders are able to motivate subordinates to higher level of performance by raising the importance of certain goals, by demonstrating the means to achieve them, and then by inducing subordinates to transcend their self-interests for the achievement of organizational goals. So it's really all about how the leader is inspiring their employees versus the transactional model of leadership, which really emphasizes the idea that an organization is a machine. The people who are in that organization, they're machine parts, so there's no room for any fluctuations due to human flaws or characteristics. It really gives an idea of an excessive amount of control. It's unrealistic, that idea. And then that all the responsibility for the success of the machine lays on the leader or the engineer. And these characteristics are called out by Suchman, Sluter, and Williamson, in that this way of leading is not a viable method anymore. And that's why transformational leadership is being emphasized. So it's really the idea that if you elevate the interests of your employees above your own, and you generate awareness and commitment to the organizational mission and values, you will enable followers to really transcend their own self-interest, which sounds like a negative thing, but it's not. It's transcending their self-interest to look at the organization first, and then how they can help to support the organization for improvement of themselves, the team, and then everyone at large. So because transformational leadership acknowledges the human element, They embrace the fluctuations that can occur because of this. It's really more of a reactive type, a proactive type way of managing versus reactive. So they are anticipating those fluctuations, they're anticipating those changes, whereas transactional leadership really doesn't. It just waits for a crisis and then it acts. So transformational leadership really has a positive impact on quality of care measures, which I call out here. There's increased communication, better nursing unit culture, and more respect between employees. This is called out in a study by SBowne from 2017. Another study really noted the levels of increased engagement that were present in areas with transformational leadership, which I'll elaborate on further in a little bit. So moving forward with transformational leadership even more, these are the aspects that are really defined in that. Encouraging expressions of commitment and caring, demonstrative of investment in your employees, and you're allowing for creativity in the workplace. So these are principles for transformational leadership. They're also principles for relationship-centered administration. Now, RCA is based on relationship-centered care, which is about partnering at every level and providing respect and mutual understanding between the partnerships of patient and care provider. So RCA takes this idea of a patient care model, a patient-centered care model, and becomes a employee-centered care model. It's really flipping it the other way to be used as an organizational management tool. So RCA's goal is to create a workplace environment that engages staff deeply and calls out their commitment and their creativity. All three of these factors are explicitly called out by Spiegelman and Barrett. I found several pages, several quotes that could support this on page 71. They state that when we demonstrate that we care about people in the totality of their lives, the same people become infinitely more engaged in their jobs. And then on page 57, they speak directly to the idea of creativity, and that when you give employees a specific job to do, creativity can be stifled. And as a result, a person's natural talents become wasted. But when you open up the possibilities for people to bring their creativity to work in their job role, fun and engagement ensue. And the part that we're really focusing on is that engagement. So transformational leadership and RCA, they come in from a process ecosystem view, which Boutros and Purdy define as a management of an enterprise as an integrated network in which all processes and related attributes are interconnected and driving towards business success. So it's really about addressing problem solving as an organizational-wide issue that you then narrow the focus in on areas that you identify need that problem solving. But you also keep the lens of the organizational culture and goals and that holistic viewpoint. So it emphasizes the importance of leaders modeling so that they can institute culture change, whatever culture change they want, in this case, RCA and transformational leadership. Both of these really are key and rely on leaders feeling confident in their ability to role model for their employees, who then will feel supported in their attempts to adopt the behaviors inherent within that. So for process improvement, performance improvement, senior leadership's central role is really to set value and directions, to communicate goals and objectives, identify resources, and then provide the time and materials to execute the improvement activities. And based on how I've described RCA and transformational leadership so far, you can see that they really are very much related and integrated within each other. Process improvement leadership responsibilities are a piece of leadership responsibilities for RCA and transformational leadership, and they're interchangeable. So working further towards this, as leaders role model and employees become engaged, these employees start to experience some impacts on their engagement, on their satisfaction, and on their retention levels. So RCA and transformational leadership, they're both forms of organizational culture change. And culture change is hard, and it always causes a disruption. But this type of culture change can be very positive. So it has a significant impact on keeping and retaining employees with whom it really resonates, meaning RCA and transformational leadership. It increases employee engagement factors, job satisfaction, performance, and commitment to the organization. And it also decreases employee burnout factors, which are exhaustion or stress or intent to leave. And many of these factors, they were called out explicitly by several studies. Babaloa, he called out that transformational leadership has a positive impact on organizational commitment, which then has been shown to have a positive impact on job performance. SBowne, Toman, and Asoho identified that there is a correlation in terms of employee turnover, intention, and feelings towards transformational leadership. The more employees feel that they want to leave an organization, the less they approve of transformational leadership activities. Conversely, the opposite is true. The more engaged they become, the more committed and approving they become of those transformational leadership principles and activities. And then Weberg did a study in an acute care hospital setting, and he found that transformational leadership really does increase employee satisfaction and really decreases those job burnout factors. So ultimately, transformational leadership, RCA, and employee engagement and retention, they can really be grouped together in this Venn diagram because they are similar. They share a lot of similar aspects. Transformational leadership and RCA have an impact on employee engagement. Employee engagement has an impact on both of those. So the process ecosystem overview really enhances all three of these aspects. It really encourages people to understand that processes are interconnected. And this is key to being successful with transformational leadership or RCA. If you don't understand that all processes in your organization are interconnected, that all employees are impacted by the decisions you make, you're not really going to be able to practice that appropriately. So that employee engagement is key to organizational success, which Spiegelman and Barrett, they heavily emphasize throughout the entire book. And engaged employees means they're committed to organizational values. That commitment ultimately means that they're open to improving or finding a better way. And that is the exact definition and reason behind performance improvement. Performance improvement can occur when people are open to new ways of doing things, when they're open to the idea that there might be a better way, and when they're allowed to engage in that creativity that Spiegelman and Barrett and the others called out as so important in creating a culture of engaged employees and leaders role modeling behaviors. So that relationship between transformational leadership, RCA, employee engagement, to performance improvement, it's really crucial to opening the doors to allowing employees and leaders to engage in that performance improvement and to make space for it amongst other things that are happening. So I really appreciate you listening today. Here is a list of my references, which are also noted throughout the presentation. And thank you so much.